One of the really important things about a SonderPod is the way that it's built, and we are incredibly proud with the build quality and everything that goes into a SonderPod. Like, I would safely say that the level of insulation and the construction quality that you would get from a SonderPod probably exceeds the level of insulation and build quality of the house that you're in right now. So what I wanted to do is just do a couple of videos which talks a bit more about everything that goes into a SonderPod. One of the big features of a SonderPod is that they are net zero energy, and there's a lot of things that we do through the construction process to ensure that our units are as efficient as possible. This is in the insulation and the technology that we use, and then also the way that we handle things like heating water or the HVAC system and how we make sure that they are all operating as efficiently as possible. So what I'd like to do is just cover each one of those topics individually about what is in a SonderPod. The key to any net zero home is about insulation. So if you're in a hot climate and you're wanting to keep the indoors cooler than what the outdoors is, for most of us in California that is the case, the role of the insulation is to make sure that the cool air stays in the house and the hot air stays outside. Obviously in cold environments, it's the reverse, where you're looking to maintain that heat inside the house and making sure that none of the cold is getting in from the outside. The way that you manage this is just to make sure that no hot air or cold air in this instance escapes outside of the house, which in turn makes the job a lot easier for your air conditioning systems to be able to keep you at a nice cool temperature. Now, SonderPods, we achieve this through a number of different layers, and we insulate our units far more than most manufacturers, and I'm sure that these units would be more insulated than the home that you're in at the moment. So we use a combination of things. We use both 6 inches of soft insulation within the walls of all of the exterior walls. And then not only do we do that, we actually add an additional layer of 2.5 inches of rigid insulation, which encapsulates the entire unit. These two layers creates an incredibly tight seal in making sure that the amount of leakage and the amount of air that is transferred through the walls of the house is kept to an absolute minimum. Once you've made sure that air is not coming in and out of the house in ways that you don't want, obviously how we treat that air when it's in the house to make sure that it is kept as comfortable as possible and at the right temperature is really, really important. So we actually have 2 major systems that are hard at work here, making sure you're as comfortable as possible. One is your air conditioning system, and the other is an ERV system, or a energy recovery and ventilation system. In every SonderPod, we use a Daikin multi-zone HVAC system, which means that you've got air conditioning and heating in multiple zones throughout the unit, with one outlet in every bedroom and every living area. We selected Daikin not only for its performance and price point, but also because it can lead up to a 30% saving in energy. SonderPods are also fitted with ERV systems, which ERV stands for Energy Recovery and Ventilation System. Effectively what an ERV does is that it allows you to vent out old stale air from inside the unit and replenish it with fresh air coming in from the outside. But it does it in a very clever way that means that the cooler air inside the house is not replaced with hot air from outside. It actually does a really effective job of cooling that air as it comes into the house. So it means that the air conditioner doesn't need to work as hard, and again that leads to additional energy savings and a more comfortable environment inside the house. Finally, the other thing that we all like is that we like to be able to see outside of our units. We like natural light, and we like to enjoy our environment, especially here in California. But one of the things about windows is that it's one of the key areas where we can have either heat coming into the house or escaping from the house as well. So in this area, we have carefully selected some very high efficiency windows and doors. And from JELD-WEN, we use their range of low E products, which then not only helps reduce the amount of hot air that can get into a house and heat up the interior, which in turn would make the systems work harder internally, but also making sure that the reverse doesn't happen as well. There's a couple of other benefits of low E glass as well, is that there's less light that gets in, so therefore things like upholstery and flooring finishes and so forth, they last a bit longer as well. These are just a few of the things that go into building a SonderPod, and as you can see, there's just an incredible amount of technology and research that's gone into play to make sure that every SonderPod is as efficient as possible, as comfortable as possible to live in, and that we're taking advantage of all of the technologies that are out there to give you the best possible home.